All right, we're going to try this again. Good morning, everyone. So absolutely wonderful to see you all in the room. Absolutely wonderful. I will now convene the April 7th, 8th meeting of the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Will the recording secretary please call the roll?
Catherine Williams Brown, here. Jose Cardenas, Juan Cruz, Christopher Davis, Michael De La Torre, Marisol De La Torre Exequido, Anna Marie Francois, Makita Gwynno Shire, Megan Gross, Johanna Harwick, Susan Aradia, Terry Jackson, Bonnie Cladd, Monica Martinez, David Simmons, Tina Sloan,
Here.
Kimberly White Smith. We have a quorum.
Thank you. And I noticed that not everybody turned their microphones on when they said here, and I think we do need to remember to do that now. All of our statements. All right. First, I'd like to welcome Juan Cruz as the new school administrator representative. Commissioner Cruz serves as the superintendent of Franklin McKinley School District. He is a first-generation college graduate, having completed his bachelor's degree in social science and a master's degree in education leadership. During his term as a student at San Jose State University, Juan began working in education by serving migrant education students while working for California Mini Corps, and then directly with the migrant education program at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. He worked with elementary and middle school students in the Oak Grove Elementary School District, and then eventually moved on to working with high school students in the Eastside Union High School District. After teaching for 7 years at Yerba Buena High School, he accepted the position of Associate Principal of Educational Development at Piedmont Hills High School. Shortly thereafter, he returned to serve for nearly 7 years as principal at Yerba Buena High School. Then he had the opportunity to serve as principal at Santa Teresa High School until his appointment as Associate Superintendent of Educational Services for the Eastside Union High School District. He held that position for 3 years until his appointment as superintendent for Franklin McKinley School District in July 2015. I am just exhausted simply reading what you've been doing for the last few years. Welcome. Thank you. All right, next I would like to welcome Christopher Davis as a new teacher representative to the commission. Commissioner Davis is a middle school language arts teacher for the, is it Berryessa Union High School District, and he also works with the National Board Resource Center at Stanford University as a support facilitator for teachers pursuing national board certification. His experience in education spans 27 years, even though you would never know looking at it. As a proud graduate of Los Angeles area public schools, Dr. Davis graduated from California State University, Los Angeles with a dual major in Pan-African Studies and English, and went on to receive his single subject teaching credential. Commissioner Davis began his career as a middle school teacher in Covina Valley while working as an instructor at the California State University, Los Angeles Summer Bridge Program. He moved to the Bay Area and worked as a teacher and school administrator for the John Muir Charter School while working at the Eastside Adult Education Program in San Jose. Dr. Davis works in the community to provide healthy meals to families in need and space for youth programs. He fundraises for scholarship funds for college-bound high school students in South Central Los Angeles and Watsonville, as well as writes grants for LGBTQIA+ youth programs. He earned his master's degree from Santa Clara University and then achieved his doctorate level degree from University of Phoenix. Another spectacular career, and welcome to the commission. All right, so happy to have all the expertise at the table in the room, seeing all of you. And now I would like to remind everyone about the meeting procedures before we get to today's agenda. This meeting is being conducted at the commission office and via teleconference. Commissioners and commission staff are participating from the commission building, and the public has the option to attend the general session of the meeting at the commission office or participate remotely through Zoom webcast or a U.S. toll-free phone number. Microphones. For those participating from the commission office, the microphones must be turned on before you start to speak by pushing the button and then turned off once you are finished. You will know the microphone is on when the indicator light shows green. The microphones for individuals who are attending via teleconference have been muted to eliminate any background noise that may hinder others from hearing what is being said. Regarding Zoom identification, we'd like to ask the members of the public who attend the meeting via Zoom and would like to make public comment to check their Zoom identification. Your Zoom identification is the name used when logging into the meeting. It's important that the Zoom identification is accurate so we can call on you appropriately during public comment. Next, we'll cover the public comment procedures. The committee chair will announce when the public comment period is open during the presentation of the agenda item and ask for anyone who wishes to comment to notify the meeting moderator. Individuals who attend the meeting at the commission office will need to submit a request to address the commission card to the meeting moderator. It's been a while, you all, but if you remember, the cards are there in the back. The meeting moderator will notify the individual when it's their turn to speak. At that time, the individual will be able to approach the microphone and share their comment. Individuals who join the meeting via the Zoom webcast will need to click on the raise hand icon to inform the meeting moderator that they'd like to speak on the item. The moderator will notify the individual when it's their turn to speak by calling their Zoom ID. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute their microphone and will be able to share their comment. The Zoom ID name used by the member of the public to join the Zoom meeting will be displayed to the public when the individual provides public comment. Individuals who join the meeting through the U.S. toll-free number will need to press *9 on their phone to inform the meeting moderator that they'd like to speak on the item. The moderator will notify the individual it's their turn to speak by calling the last 4 digits of their phone number and will allow them to unmute their telephone. At that time, the individual will be prompted to press *6 and will be able to share their comment. Please note only the last 4 digits of the caller's phone number will be displayed to the public when the individual provides public comment. Each of our committee chairs will have discretion to set a time limit on comments depending on the volume of speakers seeking to speak on a particular item. We ask that you keep your remarks brief and focused on the particular item you're speaking to. Finally, recording. Please note this meeting is being recorded. After the meeting, the archived video and audio will be available via the Commission's website. Okay, everybody got that? You were all listening carefully to every word that you have heard every meeting for the past 2 years. No. Next, we'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Vice Chair Marisol, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Salute, pledge.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we will begin with agenda item 2A, which is the approval of the February 2022 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the February 22 meeting minutes? So move. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I move to approve the February 2022.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartwig. Do I have a second?
I second the motion to approve the February agenda items.
Seconded by Commissioner Martinez. Discussion? No? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions?
Abstention.
Abstain. Okay. All right. Motion carries. The next item is 2B, approval of the April 2022 agenda. We have an agenda insert for item 5A. Do I have a motion to approve the April 2022 agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Davis, do I have a second? You have to say Commissioner Klatt. Thank you. Commissioner Klatt seconded the motion. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. Wow, isn't this fast? All right. Agenda item 2C is approval of the April 2022 consent calendar. We will now do something a little different, open for public comments. If there are members of the public who would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or clicking on the raise hand icon if participating through Zoom, or pressing *9 if participating by phone. We'll just give this a moment to see if we have any public comment.
We have no request for public comment.
All right, thank you. The public comment period for this item is now closed. All right, do commissioners have any items they would like to consider in closed session? Okay, Commissioner, I'll just go down there. Commissioner Cardenas.
Madam Chair, I'd like to pull item number 4, Mel Bernicius, and item number 13, Carmelo Perez.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Clapp. All right, thank you. And did I see other hands? Commissioner Hartwig?
The item I wanted to pull has already been called.
Okay. Any other items for consent calendar? All right. Do I have a motion to approve all remaining items on the consent calendar? Commissioner Jackson?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second? Commissioner Cardenas?
A second.
Great. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right. At this moment, this is the chair's report. Interestingly, I couldn't really come up with any of the things. There's so many things to say this morning that it was difficult to distill chair's comments, because I think this simply reflects these tumultuous times. There is an incredible amount of joy to come into this room and into this building and see all of you in person. An incredible amount of joy to walk the streets and see people's faces again. An incredible amount of joy to feel a sense of normalcy. And at the same time, we are reeling from what has happened in the past 2 years, and our teachers and administrators and school students are especially reeling, as are our educators in preparation and all of those who are preparing them, and all of us sitting here in the room. So there's a lot to be hopeful for. There is a lot still that we are weary of. And I think one of the most important things that we can do this morning, today and tomorrow, is keep, as we said in our last meeting, a grace about our work. Forgive us for our minds wandering. Forgive us for the emotion that gets tied into a lot of the decisions that we make and to the people that we hear who speak on the items. And remember who we are doing this for, which is our students in our classrooms. And I know we're going to do good work over the next couple of days. And so happy to have you here and happy to be doing this work with you. All right. Item 2E is the Executive Director's Report. Mary?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome and good morning. I echo Chair Sloan's joy in this. I feel it reverberating just to see all of you again in this way. This is different. and it's different in a way that's really good. I think the educators among us really understand that need for contact, and I hope that this is resonating with you as well. And to see our colleagues in the room with us, they look different in person. And in every good way. So welcome to all of you to our first in 2 years meeting back in person. It has been an interesting, I want to say volatile time, but what I mean by that is more the scientific term. It's not all dark and volatile. It's just there's a lot in motion around us. And there's been a lot in motion here at the Commission. We've had comings and goings. There are opportunities that for jobs everywhere, including here at the Commission. And I think that if nothing else, the last 2 years have really given people a moment to pause and think about, where do I want to put my shoulder to the wheel? What do I want to do? So there's a lot of excitement around that. And it's been particularly exciting this year with some key departures. And I am also filled with joy today because I get to introduce to you some of the people who are coming in to fill those vacancies. We've had a number of really good hires that I'm just going to introduce. So first of all is Bridget Hansen, who may not be in the room at the moment. She's our new appointed Director of Administrative Services. She has a long history of work in state government at the highest levels of administrative services, really expert in HR and personnel matters, and fiscal and business services matters. So that is the unit, the division that she's directing for us now. It includes the IT group, and it includes our Office of Governmental Relations. And her position was made permanent. She served as an interim for several months, and it was made permanent earlier this year. Secondly, Jonathan Howard. Please just stand for a moment if you would. Jonathan Howard has just joined us as our new manager for the Office of Governmental Relations. He's replacing Sasha Horwitz, who was here for a few years, and his last day was January 31st. So Jonathan has been with the state for 8 years in various positions in the legislature and at the Department of Education. He has extensive experience and knowledge in the legislative and education arenas. We welcome him, and we are so grateful to have him joining us at this high-pitched time in the legislative cycle. So thank you, Jonathan, and everybody. You'll get to know him well as we move forward. Sarah Saley is not in the room, but she is now, she will be starting with us on Monday as our staff services manager, the manager of our fiscal and business services unit. She's replacing Vivian Sue, who you may remember. And we are very excited to have Sarah. She's been with the state for 6 years in various positions in the fiscal services area. She has experience in the budget, contracting, and business services areas. And we are really looking forward to meeting her and getting her started on Monday. Also in administrative services, Cher Shah Suri joined us as a staff services manager over our contracting and procurement work in fiscal and business services. He's been with the state for 3 years and is experienced in the contracting and procurement process for the state from other state agency work. He's also had extensive experience in project management and acquisition regulations. So he started with us in March, and we are very glad to welcome him to the team. Heather Kennedy joined us recently also as a consultant in the teacher preparation program evaluation work in professional services. She's worked in the education arena for 10 years and brings knowledge and experience to the CTC as a consultant since March of this year. She's working in our performance assessment area, and we're very, very happy to have her on board. So these are exciting moments to bring in new members of the team. There is some fresh air that comes in with them, and all of us are really appreciating the opportunity to get to know them and bring them into the work. We also have a couple of key retirements I just want to announce and recognize. Rhonda Brown, can you possibly get Gil Gonzalez on the screen for us? Is that possible? Not possible? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we can't see him, but somebody can. I don't see him on this screen, so that's okay. Yeah. It's okay. This is not huge. I really wanted to put him under the microscope one last time since he's retiring, and it's a little disappointing that I don't get to do that, but they're going to try and figure it out. Okay. Well, don't work too hard because we got to get back to, okay. Yeah. please don't let that be the last of it. But in any event, Gil Gonzalez has been our director of the Division of Professional Practices since 2015. And that is the area of our work in which we do all the work around educator discipline. And he started here in 1995, in November of 1995, as a special investigator. He was promoted to a senior investigator and then the supervising special investigator, and spent a number of years from 1995 to about 2012 working in the investigations unit. He was promoted to a position, a higher level of management position, in which he served in DPP through 2015, and then he was promoted to the division director. He has been a steady presence in that unit. There are acids and bases. He's a base. Just to continue with a little bit of science, you know what I'm talking about, right? He's unflappable under all conditions, which sometimes makes you wonder, Gil, are you there? Hey, there you are. Good to see you, Gil. Thank you for joining us. Okay. And he has led that division during some of its most tumultuous times. We had a significant audit of that division in 2010 that led to some major restructuring, and Gil became a very steady presence in that time and that presence. He has been key to getting our data systems organized there so that we're able to report to you monthly on what's happening in the workload and to keep really good track of all of the cases that come in and move through our system to final resolution. We are going to miss him. We tried to convince him that in even 30 years with the age of that would be a better aesthetic than leaving it 27 years with the agency. But he was not buying it. He's got some very good other things to do with the rest of his life. So, Gil, thank you for your service. We will miss you in this role. You leave us in very good hands, however, with a division that runs extremely well, and we appreciate all of the work that you've done to bring that together for us. Hopefully, back to the golf course now. Would you like to say anything, Gil?
If I can, oh, there it is.
You're on mute.
Just trying to unmute. I just want to say thank you to the legal division, especially our general counsel, Vanessa Whitnell, and the rest of her team for all the advice and assistance they have provided over the years. Our partnership has helped both myself and the division be successful, which I'm sure will continue in the future. Ms. Whitnell, along with former supervisors Annette Ruffo and Michael Barth, who have forced me out of my comfort zone and helped me grow as a manager. To Executive Director Sandy, thank you for your support and supporting DPP, its mission, and ensuring that DPP has the appropriate staffing levels to get the job done. Amy Rising, my current supervisor, we had a short but productive run. The commission members, past and present, thank you for your time and effort to ensure California's teachers are well prepared and students are safe. And a special thanks to my management team. Who made working at the commission enjoyable and rewarding. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gil. Big shoes to fill. Thank you, and thank you for postponing your golf today to have one last moment with us. And Godspeed in the next bit. When we have potlucks, say yes, come on back. So the other retirement I just wanted to announce, and there are people who are retiring, and as that comes up, we will keep you informed so you understand the comings and goings. But Bob Locks, who just came in the room and is sitting there in the second row, he's been a consultant in our professional services division. He's also retiring. This is his last commission meeting. He'll be retiring in May after 9 years with the commission. He started his educational career as a special education teacher, and he continued to keep photos of his students on his desk to remind him of the purpose for his work. As an educator, he was the lead in developing the largest education specialist teacher intern preparation program in the Central Valley. The program focused on deep mentorship and placed teachers in some of California's most difficult to staff schools. In all of his positions, colleagues, faculty, and candidates saw Bob as a problem solver and a good listener. A program director in one of California's largest school districts recently remarked, quote, "He is my go-to guy. He responds quickly, and I know that he makes sure the answer he gives me is correct." It was also not unusual to find colleagues in his office seeking his knowledge. Having Bob on a committee guaranteed that others would want to serve because they enjoyed working with him so much. Bob did not love public speaking, but took it very seriously. He was never one to seek out the limelight and preferred working hard in the background. He did enjoy new challenges, though, especially ones that would directly affect teachers and students. Bob and his wife Judy have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Both children work in education. One is a professor and the other works in K-12. Bob and Judy are looking forward to lots of time together with their family, all of whom live in St. Louis. He never forgot his students, the students he began with, those in special education and those in teacher preparation. I know we and his PSD colleagues will never forget him. We thank you, Bob, and wish you all the best in your retirement. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Executive Director Sandy. Do any commissioners have items to report? Commissioner Clapp. What a fortunate teacher candidate to be in your classroom. Is there a microphone problem? Nothing. The public could not hear. Okay. You all. All right. Other commissioners, Commissioner Brown.
It's so exciting to be here. Oh, I just wanted to sort of say what's up on the community college level. The community college as a system, as you know, looks both towards teacher preparation and preparation of the workforce in general. And there's a real surge in the development of apprenticeships, which is right up our alley here in teacher preparation. Major efforts on enrollment. Any of my colleagues that are in any of the institutions of higher education know about that. And revisioning what education is going to need to look like at the grown-up level. At the same time, in the community colleges in particular, really excitement, volatile. I like that volatility around the ECE specialist credential. And I have another little short one. As the department chair, I always go to the beginning of every course to welcome the students. And for a long time, I was welcoming them on Zoom. And then I've been welcoming them by being able to come back into a classroom. Absolutely amazing. And we have some compressed short courses, so some of them start late. And I went into one last week that's just starting. And the faculty member wanted me to talk about the commission work because she wanted to let everybody know. So I told them just a little bit about what's going on. And there was a hand up that said, "I'm new in this class, but I wanted to let you know that I'm a 1st and 2nd grade teacher. And I'm taking classes in early childhood because I want to move into being a TK teacher. And not only is it great being in class again because I haven't been in class, but I love the work that I'm doing. It's touching me in my heart, and all of you here in the class are helping me remind me of what young children and their families need from their teachers." It was just stellar. So I just had to say that. Okay, thanks.
Excellent to hear both of these wonderful stories. Not that all of you have to give us wonderful news this morning, but other commissioner comments? Commissioner Greta-Shire.
Haju, can you post that or share that link, please? Good afternoon, everyone. I have a little update on a center that is operating in the CSU and then an announcement. So we're going to no. Is that better? Sorta? Okay. So I'm going to wait till there's something on the screen real quickly. I will echo my colleagues. It is really lovely to be back in the room with all of you. It feels like home in many ways. So Haju is going to post a link to a center of the CSU in the summer of 2021. The CSU launched the Center for Transformational Educator Preparation Programs, or CTEP. The center is supported by a $3 million grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and is designed to support our CSU campuses in context-specific efforts focused on recruiting, preparing, and retaining Black, Indigenous, and teachers of color to serve our diverse student population. This grant is built upon a former initiative in the CSU called the New Generation of Educators Initiative that many of you have heard me talk about before, that was funded by the S.D. Bechtel Foundation. 10 CSU campus teacher preparation teams will be funded by CTEP subawards, or are being funded right now. And there are 3 primary initiatives of the center. The first is the Transformation Lab, or T-Lab, where faculty teams engage in self-assessment of their preparation programs using an equity-focused rubric, choose goals, and work toward them with the guidance of improvement coaches at CSU's EdQ Center. The second initiative is our Equity and Excellence Certification Program. Team members participate in 2 units of professional development focused on racial equity and earn a newly developed CSU Excellence and Equity certification. And then the third component is our transformative teaching and learning community, where team members will network through virtual meetings, share their learnings, and be provided with curated resources that align with our transformational goals. So this segues nicely into my announcement that we have a new Assistant Vice Chancellor for Teacher Preparation within the CSU, and I'm very pleased to make that announcement with my colleagues. Dr. Shireen Pavri, who is currently Dean at CSU Long Beach, will begin her tenure as the new Assistant Vice Chancellor in June. Shireen comes with more than 30 years of experience as a teacher educator, a scholar, and a higher ed administrator. She also brings a global perspective to her work, having begun her career as a special education teacher in Mumbai, India. She holds a master's degree and an education specialist degree in school psychology from Miami University, and earned her PhD at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I know you will welcome her. You will enjoy working with her. And I just wanted to make that announcement to all of you. You probably will see me one more time in June, maybe, as we work out the transition and logistics, but certainly Shireen will be sitting here in September, and I hope you'll provide that warm welcome. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Commissioner Greta-Shire. Yes, we will certainly welcome Dr. Pavri. We promise to be nice. We will miss you greatly, though, and I'm sure she understands the big shoes she has to fill. But all right, other commissioners' comments? Commissioner Whitesmith?
Hi, I just want to report out on what AICCU and the private not-for-profit colleges and universities are centering and focusing on. And some of you probably know that almost half of the credential teachers in the state are produced by the private independent not-for-profits. One of the things that we are thinking about is how to better support those of us who identify as minority serving institutions. What people might not know is about 79 of our independent privates are either emerging HSIs or currently identify as HSIs. And so the contributions that we make to the public good with regards to credentialing candidates of color is definitely a part of our agenda moving forward. About 53 of all privates across the state produce teachers who are teachers of color. So I think that those are kind of perspectives about privates that the public may not know or understand about us and our contributions to the field. Also, I just want to recognize that April 2nd was Trans Visibility Day. And I just also want to recognize the work that we do in connection with our colleagues who identify and from the trans community and the students that we serve. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner White-Smith. All right, Commissioner Cardenas.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everybody in person. I just have a couple items that I would like to report on. One being that I recently attended a dual enrollment conference over in Fresno. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because we have such a huge partnership with the community college system at the K-12 level, where our students at the high school can begin to take college courses and start to receive college credit. I met a young lady who had 2 AA degrees, 2 associate's degrees before she even graduated from high school. And just think of the possibilities that our students could obtain while they're in high school. So just wanted to give a shout out to the community college system with the dual enrollment program and that continued partnership. They're looking to really expand pathways for our students and really incorporate the career technical education side, but also for many parents, the cost that's associated with college. And so we wanted to just highlight the dual enrollment programs for students and also for many districts who maybe have not partnered yet with the community college system. And then I wanted to highlight just April. April is Stress Awareness Month. We've all been under a lot of stress, right? And it's not just in April, but during these last 2 years, they've really been challenging, right? We've all been challenged. And services have been overwhelmed. Services that are supporting students, that are supporting staff have been completely overwhelmed. And many are seeking support. And so this year's theme is really about community and the sense of community, because we know that when there's lack of support, people tend to feel lonely. They tend to feel isolated. And when people feel that way, they're more likely to have risk factors of mental health, more likely to have risk factors of suicide. And so we really need to pay attention to each other as a community as we return back from this pandemic to certain areas of our life that are somewhat normal. We really need to continue to support others as we do make this transition. Many people, many students are still struggling with mental health. Many staff are struggling with mental health. So we have to remember to continue to have that sense of community and to support one another. And with that said, I know I'm jumping ahead by a whole month, but May is California Student Mental Health Week, which will be May 9th through the 13th. So it is something that is celebrated as far as different activities that are held on campus. There's a lot of awareness, but at the same time, connections with students and connections with staff, back to that community building. I just want to thank educators for all the work that they're doing, not just in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. Many educators are either coaches, they're doing FBLA, FFA, they're doing HOSA, Skills USA. They're doing all these extra activities to keep our children involved, to get them connected. And so they're doing these. I know they're going on trips. Some people are going to the state finals. Some people are going to national finals. So it's great to see our students really get reconnected, to connect with their peers and the staff, the sacrifices that they're making, right? And so that's continuing. And so I just want to thank all of our educators who are doing that work. And last but not least, I just want to say that I have a lot of hope, right? I have a lot of hope for the future. I have a lot of hope for positive change, that we can all come together really as a community, not just for ourselves, but really for the students of California. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cardenas. Other commissioners, items to report. Commissioner Jackson.
First of all, I just want to say, echo what everyone's thinking, just to be back in the room with everyone and the new faces that are around the table that we only have seen in the little boxes. It's so great to see you in person. And if I haven't had a chance to have a conversation with you, I will. I just wanted to talk about, and it connects with some of the other comments that have been made by commissioners. At the department, we are currently running a 3-webinar series on diversifying the teacher workforce. The first one was on March 30th. The superintendent convened a group of, that was chaired by Dr. Travis Bristol from Berkeley. And this group examined all of the ways that we need to really examine diversifying the teacher workforce. They convened 4 groups of educational partners to talk about the barriers and to talk about the themes around diversifying the teacher workforce. And they created a report that we will soon post on the department website. But the first webinar was about that report and the recommendations. The second webinar is coming up on April 21st, and that's about all of the funds, as we know, that are out there that are potential ways that LEAs and county offices can braid funds together and really tackle the issue of diversifying the teacher workforce. And then the third webinar, which is really exciting, we have had a community of practice of individuals from the county and from LEAs that have come together and talked about best practices and strategies around diversifying the teacher workforce. And some of our participants will talk about the work that they're doing at that level in the third webinar, which is on May 4th. So I just want to put out a little plug and advertisement for those webinars, and it really connects with some of the themes that we've heard around the table here from other commissioners. And just also out of our office, the Teacher and Leader Policy Office at the department, the National Board, subsidy and incentives have been just out of sight. We're excited that people are really talking about that. The subsidies are going toward people that want to become national board, and that's up and running for the first cohort. And now we're in the arena of the incentives for national board educators that are working at our high priority schools. They will now receive incentives for the next 5 years for working at those schools. And so we're really excited about that. And again, I'm so glad we're all here together.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Good information. All of you. Any other commissioners have items to report? Getting around the table. Commissioner Gross.
So in addition to Stress Awareness Month, this month is also Autism Acceptance Month. And last month was Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And so I just want to celebrate all of our students who experience neurodiversity and really help us educators learn to see the world in magnificent ways that we never would have without the opportunity to be their educators, their parents, their friends. So I would love to celebrate all of our students this month. And then as we think about our teacher preparation and this use of a common trunk and being able to have more folks supporting more students, CDE funds the Supporting Inclusive Practices Project. It's a statewide grant program, and they are hosting a free virtual conference May 4th and May 5th. And it's all about inclusive education. And incredible keynote speakers are coming. Judith Human who was foundational in work such as Section 504 and ADA. Just really powerful work that's happening. A team of paraeducators from my district will be presenting on how paraeducators can lead inclusive education practices. So I would highly recommend that folks register. It's free, supporting inclusive practices. So that's my report.
Wonderful. As I listen to all of the things that all of you are reporting and resources and places for us to go, I am wondering if we also might somehow try to capture this at the end of a meeting in writing to make available to all of us. So we'll figure that out. All right, other commissioners with items to report. Okay. Do any liaisons have items to report? Yes. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Sorry,
It is-
Liaison Rodriguez. You can't get over the.
No, that's what I was thinking. My last meeting, I was the commissioner when we were in person.
When we were here.
Right, and then had one online meeting, and so it's a little surreal because now I'm in a different role, and I want to welcome all the new commissioners and to the building. Right, some of you have already been on for a while, and I just I was so excited to see everyone, and I knew that it would be not necessarily bittersweet, but tempered by some of the people who aren't members of the commission anymore, right? You know, thinking specifically of Michael Cooney, just his face and his comments, and but it's so wonderful to be here again. So before I forget, we were just talking, Danette mentioned having like a little parking lot with all of the ideas that we share. So to piggyback on what you said, like links, and we're sharing all of these resources, and how wonderful that would be to have a place where we can put everything together.
See, great minds think alike.
Yes, yes. So our March meeting, State Board, was relatively light. But a lot of work is happening that will be coming up at the next meeting. So there's always a lot of work and a lot of planning taking place. The board approved, also kind of dovetailing on Commissioner Cardina's comment, the Career Technical Education Incentive Grant allocation for the formula for the preliminary grants. 342 LEAs were awarded. As you know, it's very important work. The CTE programs are incredible and transformative methods to engage students. I just received an email from our principal where our construction students are competing in Carlsbad, and they just built a house. So he sent us a picture of that, our CTE students, particularly high need students of color. And it ensures that they're college and career ready. The CTC, we know, is watching the proliferation of these programs, and it seeks to ensure that the CTE workforce is sufficient and prepared to educate students in these LEAs. Next month, we'll be approving the first round of community school grants, including planning and implementing grants to the LEAs. And the approval of a lead technical assistance center to support statewide implementation of community schools. Community schools are a whole child improvement strategy, focusing on authentic engagement of students, families, with professional development to support restorative practices and robust school climate, wraparound physical and mental health services, and relevant instruction. As a teacher, I can tell you this is the kind of school that all of our students and teachers need and deserve, and especially our communities. So in recognition of the need to build capacity throughout the state to implement the comprehensive California EL roadmap policy, the California legislature, this is going back a little bit, earmarked $10 million in the EWIG, the Workforce Investment Grant. The CTE awarded 2 EWIG EL roadmap implementation grants in March of 2020, just before the pandemic started and led to school closures. The pandemic has elevated the need for a focused effort to provide access to high quality instruction. The two EWIG EL Roadmap implementation grantees were Californians Together, CalTOG, and the ENCAVE, California Association for Bilingual Education. The grantees have committed to collaboratively work with all agencies of the statewide system of support, including offices of education, the regional EL specialists, California Collaborative, and the CDE. And so I want to share the English Learner Master Plan Playbook, which would go on our resource wall. If you haven't seen this playbook, you can Google it and it'll come up. It is incredible. It's a tool for educators, families, community members to engage in policy dialogues and development processes to support the creation of a local policy document. It is an English learner master plan policy and promotes equitable practices for ELs to develop 21st century skills to contribute positively to our diverse students and just our communities. So lastly, I mentioned at our last meeting as a liaison that some of our senior SB members, their terms expired and they took with them a tremendous wealth of knowledge. And but I'd like to welcome some of our new members and some of you may know who also bring tremendous wealth. And we have Brenda Lewis, Sharon Olkin, Gabriela Orozco Gonzalez, who is also a teacher, a classroom teacher. And I hope that that we get a chance to cross paths and you can meet them, because they come to the board with a lot of experience as, whether it's superintendents or teachers. And I'm excited to welcome them aboard. Thank you.
Thank you, Liaison Rodriguez. And are there other liaisons who have items to report? Liaison Baez.
There we go. Hello. Oh, wow, there I am. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's honor seems so repetitive, but it is truly such an honor to be here with everybody. And I had the nervous feeling, but it was more nerves of excitement than I think of actually, the palm sweaty feeling. So very excited. I just have a few things to report this morning. First, I would like to announce that I recently got the results back from the EdTPA performance assessment, and I did indeed pass. So there's a victory. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, it was that another excitement. It was very great and some relief too, right, to have that kind of behind me. So that was great. And then I also wanted to touch upon, I had mentioned I think it was maybe last meeting or the meeting previous, that I have been working on trying to get more diverse teacher outreach at Pepperdine University, which is a private not-for-profit school. And the teacher program there is so excellent, and it's kind of the enrollment is kind of dwindling, which makes me feel more nervous, because I'm like, it's such a great program and we need teachers and we need the diverse teachers. And so I did a presentation with the director of the Student Success Center at Pepperdine and wanted to bridge those two things together. So taking the Student Success Center and the Pepperdine Teacher Program and putting those two things kind of in contact with each other, because the Student Success Center hosts a First Wave Ambassador Program, which I am also a part of. So tapping into our first generation students who come in, who, some of them transfer to Pepperdine. And, I am a first gen student. So I think, tapping into my roots a little bit as well, and knowing that not always, but most times first generation college students are fairly diverse, and, they have so many assets to bring, especially to the teaching profession. So I have been really working on bridging those two things. So it looks like I'm seeing a lot of progress there. So I wanted to put that out there. And with that, I wanted to open the floor and ask anybody, just to email me, or have you seen any other programs that have partnered with the teacher candidate programs at other universities? at any level. And I kind of just wanted some inspiration or ideas if anybody has any to maybe share with me or put me in contact with somebody, because it's hard to get, teacher outreach, as you guys I'm sure know, it's hard to get people to feel just as excited and passionate about teaching as, we all do and as I do. So I just wanted to open the floor and, put it out there that I'm so open to any suggestions, or if you've heard of any programs who do certain things or tap into certain parts of the school to promote teacher outreach, I'm all about it. So, I graduate April 30th from Pepperdine, and as I am on the job hunt and kind of looking and taking in like a sponge everything, it's taking your guys' energy and putting that into my work going forward since my undergraduate career is closing. It makes me even just more excited for all the things that I'm being set up to do. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And that is the end of my report. So thank you.
Thank you, student liaison bias, and congratulations. And we look forward to what you continue to do in your next steps. All right, are there any other liaison reports? All right, one thing that I am struck by as I was listening to all of you and lately, just this last comments from our liaison bias, is clearly everybody at this table is here because you are extra committed, as all educators are, to not only doing the work within your own communities and with your own classrooms, with your own students, but to ensure that statewide we are setting good policy that is going to support the work of people who want to become teachers and give them those opportunities to do so, while people like Liaison Baez and all of you are working on the ground in your own communities to do those extra things that are supporting people in community. I've been really thinking, Commissioner Cardenas, since you were talking about community and the importance of community right now for all of us, and our educators, counselors, nurses. When I say educators, I mean everybody in our schools need our community. They need all of you out there. They're working so hard for students, as we all know, and we know that our teachers and our counselors need their own supports at this time too. So I am just heartened by the care in this room and the care with which we do our work. And with that, I will recess the general session and move to the Educator Preparation Committee. And Commissioner Martinez, will you please convene the committee?
I will. Do you want me to move up there next to? Yeah.
Yes, you must, unlike at home, you
Oh,
must
that's
get
not
up
comfortable.
and move.
The days of sitting in your house. I had even cleaned up my space over there because I forgot that, you guys can see my mess versus before I could hide it when I was at home. So yes, thank you everyone. And before I convene the session, I would like to say congratulations, Marquita, for the amazing center, and what a legacy, truly. I was around when you did the work with SD Bechtel, and what an amazing legacy. So congrats. And in no way does that subside passing the Ed TPA for sure. So congrats to that. It's been really exciting to have all this energy and to have all this good news after so much has been repressed. So with that, I would like to call the April 2022 meeting of the Educator Preparation Committee to order. We have 8 agenda items. 6 of the items are scheduled for today, with 2 more tomorrow morning. You guys may think that's a short agenda for the Educator Prep Committee, so we'll see how that goes. We will announce when the public comment period is open following the presentation of each agenda item. Members of the public who wish to comment will be asked to notify the meeting moderator the following ways. The first one we used to do, but we're very out of practice. Individuals attending the meeting at the commission will need to submit a request to address the commission card to the meeting moderator. The meeting moderator will notify the individual when it is her turn to speak. At that time, the individual will be able to approach the microphone and share the comment. For those of you who are on by Zoom, you'll need to click on the raise hand icon to inform the meeting moderator that they would like to speak on the item. The meeting moderator will notify the individual when it's their turn to speak by calling out the Zoom ID. Please remember that the Zoom ID is the name that you use when you log into the meeting. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute the microphone. I kind of will miss seeing everybody on the Zoom and raising their virtual hands. And then, of course, if you're going to dial in, if you're on the US toll-free number, just press *9 to inform the meeting moderator that you'd like to speak. The meeting moderator will notify the individual when it's their turn to speak by calling out their name or the last 4 digits of the phone number. And unmute the phone. At that time, you'll be prompted to press *6 and you'll be able to share your comment. So we're now going to move forward. We have 6 institutional approval action items. Each of the institutions are at various stages. The first item today is item 3A, initial institutional approval, stage 2, eligibility requirements for Santa Maria Bonita School District. This item is being presented by Michelle Williams-George. This is an action item. Ms. Williams-George, welcome, and will you please begin?
Good morning, Commissioners. It's a pleasure being with you here in person. I actually came on board during the pandemic, so this is actually my first time with you, so thank you very much. And item 3A presents for the Commission's consideration and possible approval, Santa Maria Bonita School District's responses to the Stage 2 eligibility requirements. Santa Maria Bonita School District is seeking initial institutional approval for eligibility to offer a teacher induction program. You'll find the institution's full submission provided as a link on page 2. On page 3 of item 3A, you'll find the IIA chart with the current stage highlighted. Approval of stage 2 does not permit Santa Maria Bonita School District to offer the proposed program. More specific information and documentation regarding the design of the proposed program will be submitted in subsequent stages of the IIA process. On pages 3 through 6 of item 3A, you'll find staff recommendations of aligned for criteria 1 through 9. On pages 7 through 9, you will find Santa Maria Bonita School District responses for criteria 10, 11, and 12 for the Commission's consideration. For criteria 11, the institution is required to post a third-party notification on their website, and to date, no comments have been received. Finally, considering the information provided in this agenda item, staff recommends that the Commission grant eligibility to Santa Maria Bonita School District, which would allow the institution to move forward to stage 3. The Commission may identify topics it would like to see addressed in stage 3. If the Commission chooses to deny eligibility, it may identify what it sees as incomplete in the current submission, and the institution may then address those items and come forward again for approval of stage 2. Staff is available to answer any process questions, and Santa Maria Bonita School District representatives Shelley Hart, if she was able to join us, and Jennifer Loftus are available to answer any questions regarding the content of the eligibility requirement submission. And as always, thank you for your consideration of this item.
I am very out of practice there. I was expecting that to be a little longer. See, I'm so used to getting comfortable here. Like, don't we have more usually? All right, we will now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting the request card, clicking the raise hand icon, or press *9 if participating by phone. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
We have no public comments.
Great. Thank you for checking. The public comment period for this item is now closed. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments on this item? And don't be asleep in the wheel like I was. This is an action item. Yeah, Commissioner Klett. Oh, that's right.
The right microphone. Thank you. And thank you. Are you able to hear me? Our Zoom participants?
Okay, great.
Okay, just wanted to check. I had microphone issues earlier today. So thank you for being here. I have a question about, I was looking through the handbook, the teacher induction handbook, and you indicated that you would be open to serving out of district teachers. And so I was curious how that would work. When would the mentor teachers, how would they coordinate with that? Would they be expected to travel? Would it be virtual? Would the 1 hour per week meetings be different for
for teacher candidate or induction candidates who are out of district. So if you could explain that piece a little bit, it would be helpful.
Sure. We have a small district. Can you hear me? Okay. We have a small district, Guadalupe School District, that's interested in partnering with us. They're only about 15 miles away. So that was really the district we had in mind. We are so good at Zooming and doing live meetings and even simulcasting that if there is someone interested in our program that is out too far, we have no problem simulcasting with them. We do hold regular mentor meetings to make sure they're well supported, and probably will this initial first year, but we are definitely flexible on the means the other districts can meet with us, as well as our own. We're still kind of in a hybrid situation for our own folks right now.
Thank you for clarifying that. I'm just processing what you said. Sorry. So if they were meeting virtually, would there be any opportunities for the mentors to either observe or, and I guess perhaps you answered that question, that they're close enough that that travel could take place, I guess?
Absolutely. And I would assume the mentor would be in the same district as the new teacher candidate, and we would support both of them at the same time.
Okay, that actually might have answered my question. So you would be open, so you might have mentors in that out of district program serving the out of district teacher then. That would be a possibility.
Correct, as long as they were fully supported.
Thank you. Thank you. That does clarify things. Thank you.
I'm going to use my microphone to ask a question as well. So it states that you guys partnered with the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education because you felt the program was more in line with some of the work you guys wanted to do. Can you talk a little bit more about reaching out to them and wanting to work more with San Luis Obispo County?
It was an interesting couple of years, and San Luis Obispo provided a lot more professional learning than our current provider. And that was the main reason for it. They also served as a mentor for myself in designing our upcoming program. They used more current platforms such as the Google platform. They did a lot more support for their mentors. It was just more in line with our philosophy of supporting everyone and not so compliance based. We really wanted to focus on that professional learning because our teachers needed it the past 2 years, especially.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that information. Other commissioners, you have questions? Commissioner Grenner-Shire?
Good morning. I'm looking at your conceptual framework on page 7, and you talk about the core values upon which the induction program is built. And then you talk about the program structure, which guides the teachers and coaches through this. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I think I understand all the terms: equity, responsiveness, reflective dialogue, and inquiry. I don't know what positive presupposition, that's a new term for me.
That just means we assume positive intent and good intentions at all times. As a district this year, we took all of our teachers through CRT in the brain. So that's been a big focus for our districts, especially supporting our new teachers. So, and the ILP is based on reflective learning. So they set their own goals. We go through the process of dialogue with the coaches. We teach them how to get the most out of their new teachers as opposed to telling them what their goals should be. A lot of inquiry-based processes go into it. We also have site coaches that are trained in the same way. So there's different levels of support for our new teachers that are all in alignment with the same basic inquiry cycles.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, other questions? Okay, yeah, sure. Commissioner Gross.
Good morning. I have a question about your mentors. I see you have TOSAs who are released from the classroom, but your mentors, will they be released from the classroom, or are these stipend positions in addition to full-time job responsibilities? We hear a lot of concerns about like the capacity that mentors have to actually provide that like just-in-time coaching and support. So I'm curious about how you're going to approach that.
Absolutely. So our mentors are full-time classroom teachers. It's a stipend position. So they will get paid in addition to their salary. They're expected to meet with a new teacher at least once a week. But in addition to that, we have site-based instructional coaches, 2 per site, and we have district office TOSAs that are content specialists. And we have a TOSA just to support new teachers. So there are many, many layers of support for our new teachers, but we really feel strongly that that site-based approach is so important, that hands-on, in-the-moment support for those bad days.
Great, thank you so much. Other commissioners, any questions? It's an action item. Okay. Not seeing any other comments or questions, I'm going to go ahead and move. Do we have a motion to either grant eligibility for Santa Maria Bonita School District to move forward to stage 2 or deny eligibility? Okay, thank you.
I move that we grant eligibility. Right?
Yes.
Make sure I use the right word that goes there for Santa Bonita.
Great. Do I have a second to grant eligibility for Santa Maria Bonita School District to move forward to stage 3?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Any further discussion? All right. So I can just do like voice now, right? We don't have to go one by one. Okay. God, I've been so trained by Zoom. Can you believe that for 2 years? It's like we have been trained. All right, so very simple vote here. For those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
For those opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, thank you, everyone. All right, now we got those cobwebs. Thank you, Ms. Williams, George. Let's see if we can do better with item 3B here. All right, so item 3B is initial institutional approval, stage 3, consideration of provisional approval for Los Altos School District. This item is being presented by Punan Betty. This is an action item. And Ms. Oh, well, there we go. There she is. Okay. Ms. Betty, will you please begin in our hybrid model here?
Absolutely. I just want to check for a moment. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you really well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Commissioner Martinez. All right. Good morning, commissioners. Item 3B presents the Los Altos School District's responses to stage 3 requirements that are required as part of the initial institutional approval process for the commission's consideration and for possible provisional approval. As noted at the top of page 3 of this item, Los Altos is proposing a teacher induction program. To provide a little bit of a background, Los Altos is an elementary school district that's located in Santa Clara County that serves roughly 4,500 K through 8th grade students across 7 elementary schools and 2 junior high schools. Los Altos came before the commission last September seeking stage 2 approval, and a link to that agenda item is in the second paragraph on that 3rd page. After being granted approval, Los Altos moved into stage 3 of the IIA process, in which responses to preconditions and common standards were provided. And staying on page 3, you will see that the second link on this page is to the Los Altos School District's new teacher induction webpage that houses the stage 3 submission, in which the full responses to those preconditions and the common standards was provided. So Los Altos, as part of that stage 3 submission, responded to 2 initial program preconditions and the teacher induction program preconditions. So the summaries and excerpts of these responses are found across pages 4 to 7 of this item. Review of the precondition submissions was completed by commission staff. And these preconditions have all been found to be met. In addition to the preconditions, an institution that is in stage 3 of the IIA process is also required to respond to every element of all 5 common standards. And summaries and excerpts of Los Altos responses to the common standards can be found across pages 7 to 13 of this item. A team of Board of Institutional Review, or BIR members, reviewed, collaborated, and came to a consensus of align for all the common standards. And now, if we turn our attention to the last page of the item, Based on the findings of met for all the relevant preconditions and of aligned for the common standards, staff would like to recommend provisional approval for the Los Altos School District. And it is pertinent to note that granting provisional approval does not permit the Los Altos School District to operate the teacher induction program, as review against the relevant teacher induction program standards has not yet occurred. This would occur in the next stage, in stage 4 of the IA process, and Los Altos would be seeking program approval from the COA in that stage. And at that point, if COA approval is granted, then they would be able to operate the program. And also, should the commission choose to grant provisional approval today, staff recommends that the period of provisional approval be set to a length of 3 years, given the fact that teacher induction programs are 2 years in length. So this would allow a provisional site visit to occur in that final year. And in conclusion, staff is available to answer any process questions, and we have with us today the following representatives on the screen. We have Greg Drummond. He is a curriculum and instruction coordinator who will also serve as the director of the proposed teacher induction program. We also have Sarah Gerlinger. She is a coach and current mentor in the district, and she will serve as the lead mentor of the proposed program. And finally, Sandra McGonigal. She is the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, and they are available to answer any questions that commissioners may have about Los Altos Stage 3 submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Betty. We'll now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or clicking on the raise hand icon or pressing *9. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
We have no public comments.
Thank you. Okay, the public comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have questions or comments on this item? And this is an action item. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Klatt.
Thank you. I know I sound like a broken record with this question, but I'll ask it again. Could you please explain a little bit more about the hour per week that the mentors would meet with the induction candidates? Will that time, is there embedded common planning time? Is that time expected to happen after hours? When will that hour take place?
The hour could be a number of things, but usually involves a face-to-face mentoring session, coaching session with the candidates that is either during a prep time or before or after school, so it doesn't take any instructional time to do. And the hour could also include classroom observation time, planning time, any number of things related to instruction. Sometimes it could include being a part of the candidates' team collaboration time with their grade level or department partners, any sort of job embedded instructional support. But typically it takes the form of a chunk of that hour is a mentoring session where there's one-on-one coaching.
And thank you. And just to follow up, part of the reason I ask that question of almost everyone who comes in front of us with induction programs is that I think that's such a critical piece to have time that out. It's really hard to find that hour sometimes on both sides, on the new teacher who's juggling so many new responsibilities, and oftentimes the mentor teachers also have a very full plate, which is why they're mentor teachers, is because they're very, they're on all kinds of committees and have all kinds of extra duties. And so thank you for explaining that. I appreciate the flexibility, it sounds like, that the partners will have in this, in finding those hours, and just really hope that that consideration is made when people are matched in the program. That common planning prep or some kind of like common team time is just so important. So thank you for that response, though.
Thank you, Commissioner Klatt. I'm just going to follow a little pattern and ask a follow-up question as well. Earlier, you guys note that Santa Cruz Silicon Valley New Teacher Project was the current induction partner. And so I'm wondering what kind of role they may have going forward, or what what that kind of separation as you guys move into your induction program looks like.
We've had such an amazing relationship with the Santa Cruz Silicon Valley New Teacher Project, and they do really amazing work. We will continue to be part of Connected in that we are both part of Cluster 2, and so we'll be connected in that way. The director of that program and I have a really great relationship, and we talk frequently. We're still a part of their steering committee, and we'll continue to have kind of an open channel of communication with each other. They've offered support going forward to be able to consult and answer questions we have as we get going.
Thank you. Glad to hear that. Other questions or comments by any of the commissioners? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move forward towards our vote since this is an action item. Do I have a motion to either grant provisional approval to Los Altos School District and set the provisional approval period to be 3 years, or deny provisional approval? Okay, I know.
I will move to grant approval.
Okay, grant provisional approval to Los Altos District and set the provisional approval period for the 3 years. Do I have a second for this?
I'll
motion?
second.
Okay, Commissioner Tina Sloan or Chair Sloan, seconds. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. And aye, okay. And all those opposed? Great, the motion carries. Congratulations on to moving towards your provisional approval of Los Altos School District for the next 3 years. And thank you, Miss Betty, and thank you, Los Altos, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay. We're now going to move forward with item 3C. Trying to decide if I want to read off my computer. All right, so item 3C is initial institutional approval, stage 5, consideration of full institutional approval for Atwater Elementary School District. This item is being presented by Bob Locks. This is an action item. Mr. Locks, will you please begin?
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. This agenda item is for the Commission to consider full institutional approval for Atwater Elementary School District. Just as a reminder, if you look at page 3 of item 3C, you will see the table of the 5 stages for the initial approval process. And the last 2 items you had were on at some of these previous stages. Atwater Elementary School District is in stage 5 of this process. They have completed a successful provisional site visit, and the site visit team's findings have been shared with the COA. With Atwater Elementary School District having met all common standards and program standards, the COA recommends full accreditation for Atwater, and that the Commission consider granting Atwater Elementary School District full institutional approval. Directors Deborah Mitchell and Anna Boyenga from Atwater Elementary School District are also available for any follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or clicking the raised hand icon if on Zoom, or pressing *9 if by phone. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
We have no public comments on this item.
Okay. As you can see, we have Atwater Elementary School on the screen. And do commissioners have any questions or comments for this item? Okay, I'm depending on Commissioner Klatt here. Thank you, Commissioner Klatt.
If you were watching earlier, you know why we're laughing. I've asked the same question all morning. I think though I saw in the materials something about your mentors being released to full-time mentors. So can you clarify that? Do you have are the mentors full-time teachers on special assignment, or are these mentors who are doing this beyond their normal work, their work day?
Sure. My name is Anna Boyenga, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Our mentors are full-time released teachers on special assignment.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Other questions? I'm sure you guys are used to these questions from stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. Other questions by commissioners? Yeah, Chair Sloan?
Not really a question, just a comment, and that is that it is something to be said that all of the program standards were fully met in your site visit, in your preliminary site visit, and I want to commend you on that. It certainly makes our decision easier here, because we haven't had too many of these come before us, the full approval at the full approval stage. So this is very helpful. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. We really appreciate that and appreciate the work that CTC and COA has done with them. All right, so without seeing any other comments, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with a motion. As a reminder, the recommendation from the staff is to grant full approval to Atwater Elementary School District. So we have 4 options before us. They're on page 5 for the motion. So they are 1, grant full institutional approval to Atwater Elementary School District. 2, grant full institutional approval and remand back to the COA to address the stipulations identified in the site visit report. 3, continue provisional approval status for 1 year to address any stipulations identified in the site visit report. Or 4, deny full institutional approval. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Chair Sloan is making a motion to grant full institutional approval to Atwater Elementary School District, right? And I see a second
Correct.
by Commissioner De La Torre.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Then the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Locke. And Mr. Locke, thank you so much for your service and beautiful commentary by Executive Director Sandy, and you'll be very missed, but congratulations. And congratulations to Atwater.
Yes.
That was a big stage 5 full approval. Very big step for you guys. Thank you for your tenacity. Thank you for your thoroughness and all the work you have done. Congratulations.
Thank you, commissioners. Appreciate the comments.
You bet.
Chair, Commissioner Martinez, I need to recuse on this next item.
Okay. We're going to move on to item 3D, and Chair Sloan will recuse herself and leave the room at this time. I know all of us can see that visually, but for those who are on phone, I'm just going to narrate for now. Okay, this is item 3D. It's initial institutional approval, stage 5 as well. Consideration of full institutional approval for Santa Barbara Unified School District. This item is being presented by Sarah Solari Colombini. This is an action item. Ms. Solari Colombini, will you please begin?
Certainly, thank you. So as with the item before, this is a stage 5 item. So good morning. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're joined by Roxana Stern from the Santa Barbara Unified School District. She is available to answer any questions that you may have about the induction program.
I'm just going to check in really quickly. Everyone can hear her okay, right? On video and audio and here? Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Sorry, Ms. Colombini.
No problem. Yeah. So I'll pull it down a little bit. So this agenda item presents the Board of Institutional Review report from a provisional site visit and includes the Committee on Accreditation's recommendation for an accreditation decision for Santa Barbara Unified School District. It is staff's recommendation after reviewing the report and the Committee on Accreditation's recommendation that the Commission grant Santa Barbara Unified School District full institutional approval. On page 3, you will find the comprehensive table of the initial institutional process that an institution follows when seeking to offer an educator preparation program. Santa Barbara Unified School District began this process in December of 2016 by completing Accreditation 101 and then met their eligibility requirements in April of 2017 and was granted commission approval in September of 2017. Santa Barbara began operating their program in August of 2018 and collected data about the implementation of their program leading up to the provisional site visit that took place in October of 2021. A team of 3 trained reviewers conducted a site visit to determine alignment to the common standards and program standards for the teacher induction program offered at Santa Barbara. The visit was held virtually and followed all adopted protocols. The team submitted a report of their findings and a recommendation to the COA, and you will find a copy of that report in Appendix A of this item. In keeping with the recommendations of the report, Santa Barbara Unified has already taken action to address the portions of standards that were met with concerns. It is important to emphasize that these standards were met. There was just a concern about a specific piece of the program, which is clearly identified in the language of the stipulations. So, the Committee on Accreditation did accept the recommendations of the team and is now forwarding their recommendation onto the Commission to take action. At the March COA meeting, the COA was presented with the first quarterly report of Santa Barbara's action to address the stipulations, and substantial progress has been made. It is the recommendation of staff that Santa Barbara Unified School District be granted full approval and continue with the accreditation process outlined in the report. Should the commissioners have any questions, I'm here, and so is Roxana Stern from Santa Barbara.
Ms. Colvini, I just have a clarifying question. I just want to make sure. So
absolutely,
the recommendation from the staff is to grant full approval and remand the institution back to COA to address the stipulations?
That is correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That's
Yes.
a very important distinction. So I just wanted to make sure
That
I
is
got
a good-
right before we begin the conversation.
Thank you. To remand it back to the COA to complete the process, because there are 3 more quarterly reports. There's one due in May, another due in August, and the final one will be due in October.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, so we're going to move into public comment period. And so if there are members of the public that would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or clicking on the raise hand icon if you're on Zoom, or pressing *9 if you're participating by phone. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
We have no public comments on this item.
Okay. The public comment period for this item is now closed. And as a reminder, we have a representative from Santa Barbara on video with us today. So commissioners, do you have any questions or comments on this item? Thank you, Commissioner De La Torre.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question about I noticed that it was not provided, the support candidates needing additional support was not provided in written form. Is it provided in written form now? And what have you done to ensure that it is universally known?
Thank you for that question. So we are always going through ongoing updates to our handbook, and we are updating that. That's an item that we will be providing in our next quarterly report to the Committee on Accreditation. The information has been conveyed in writing and verbally at our monthly candidate meetings about candidates who need extra support, who need extensions on deadlines, who may need another person in their court, so to speak, and office hours are set up for the candidates. So there are a number of measures, such as, again, extending extra time, providing extra capacity, and also memorializing that or codifying that in our handbook. But again, previously it's been shared with candidates in our meetings, and there are slide decks that are shared with the candidates.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the question, Commissioner De La Torre. Other questions from the commissioners? Yeah, Commissioner Grainer-Shire.
I think I have a question and a comment. On page 13, you describe the partnerships with local universities to identify students who might be interested in teaching as a way to continue to diversify the teaching force. I want to commend you for that. It seems, the way I'm reading that if local graduates of our high schools go into one of the preparation programs, then we pay for their education in the dual language immersion program. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, we have a program in our district to encourage candidates or to encourage students who are our homegrown students to become teachers in our community. And we have a CTE thread at one of our high schools that is a teacher preparation thread, future teachers. And those students, if they go through those programs and then continue to participate, if they go through a teacher preparation program, we pay for their teacher preparation program, and then they're given an opportunity to interview with us. And then if we hire them, then that basically seals the deal, so to speak, and then their teacher preparation program is paid for. If they choose to go another direction, then we work with them to to recoup the costs of their teacher preparation program if they don't end up coming to work for us.
Again, I want to commend you on that. That we know how effective Grow Your Own programs are. So kudos to you and your team.
Yeah.
Thank you. We actually have our first two graduating this, finishing induction, I should say. Yeah, they're finishing our induction program this May.
Well, all of us are giving lots of affirmative nods and really commend you for the long-term commitment to growing your own in the pipeline that you're creating. So thank you very much. Other questions by commissioners around the stage 5 approval? Yeah, Commissioner Simmons.
Hi, Roxana. I have a question about the appeals process. A lot of the time, as somebody who used to run one of these programs, a lot of these things are sort of they don't come up very often. But when you do have to deal with an appeal, you really need a legally defensible, strong process. Can you tell us about how that you're addressing those concerns?
Thank you. It is a great question. We've had a bit of a challenge to that already. And what we do is we rely, of course, on the information that has been communicated in writing. So I appreciate the question from the other commissioner about how we do communicate that in writing. And we work through our process of having committees review whatever the situation may be, whether it's an appeal for a change with a mentor match or whether it's an appeal on a decision about work that has been submitted. And we have a great deal of flexibility in our program. For the most part, if a decision has been made that work needs to be revised, we provide an opportunity to revise the work and we provide appropriate deadlines, much in the manner that the commission has worked with us. It's a sense of stipulations, and it's more of a mastery model and not so much a checking off boxes model. We will continue to provide support until the person is able to grow to the degree that they would like to grow.
Great. You had me at mastery. Okay. Any other comments before we move into an action item? Yes, great. Commissioner Deltoy.
Yes, I have another question. So I noticed on page 15, it says that information gathered confirmed that mentors more recently trained need more training in mentoring skills and providing support to candidates via the individual learning plan, and that those that were previously trained, your more veteran mentors, were better prepared. So what have you done or what are you doing to ensure that the new mentors coming on board are just as good as the veteran mentors?
Thank you. I really appreciate that question. And it was something that struck a chord with us when we read the report back in October already. And it bore out something that we had a sense that existed, was that there is a wide range of skill sets within our mentoring community, much as there is within our candidate community. So much like the candidate work needs to be individualized based on background and experience and needs, our mentoring experience needs to be individualized and differentiated. So we are, throughout this year, we are providing extra support to mentors who need that, whether it's on the technical aspects of how our program is structured, or if it's more on mentoring skill sets by providing articles, reading, opportunities to have workshop time during our mentor meetings and differentiated workshop time. And we are tearing apart our mentor kickoff event that we have in August and building that so that there are some parts of that day that are things that everybody needs. And then there are some parts of that day that are more self-selected, self-service, based on mentors reflecting on what their needs are and where they need to grow. And the same holds true for our plans for our mentoring meetings that we have for the 22-23 school year and going on, that there are, much like that pyramid of support that we have for students, there are some things that all people need, but then there are differentiated kinds of needs that folks have, again, depending on their background and experience.
Yeah, please follow up.
I have a follow-up. So have you identified what the training was that the veteran mentors participated in and why that training was superior to the training that the current mentors had? And then instead of letting it be where the mentors can choose to attend these workshops, wouldn't it be better to target specifically so that everyone gets the same training to ensure that they all meet the same criteria?
Thank you. I appreciate that question. The experienced mentors had more opportunities to practice dealing with difficult situations with candidates or feeling like they had ready responses when a candidate dilemma came up. And so what we are doing is returning to our Mentoring Matters textbook. And again, we don't want to waste the experienced mentors' time with information that they are already aware of. And so we are guiding our newer mentors toward the portions of that textbook that help them improve their mentoring practice, like identifying a third data point. For example, if you have a candidate and when the mentor asks, well, how are things going? And the candidate says, everything's fine, providing the mentor with follow-up questions that they can ask that are not going to make the candidate feel defensive, but helping them ask questions to dig in a little bit more and asking them to look at that third data point, whether it is student learning or it's reflection on the candidate's skill set or a recording of a lesson observation. So it's turning the theoretical into the practical that our newer mentors were needing more support with. And in our text Mentoring Matters, that is one place that we can have that. And to your question about identifying and directing the mentors toward the work, we believe that that will be borne out in the self-reflection process when the mentors use the mentoring rubric that is, again, in the Mentoring Matters textbook, and they identify their areas of need. Then we would say, if your area of need that you self-identified is here, then this is the training that you should be going toward. And giving the mentors some guidance, but also giving them some autonomy over the work that they are doing. Much like we give the candidates guidance, but also give them some autonomy.
Thank you.
Great question, and appreciate the personalization and response. Not seeing any other comments and questions, I think we'll go ahead and move to a vote. As you guys know, we have 4 options before us, and they're listed on page 5. But the first option is grant full institutional approval to Santa Barbara Unified School District. The second option, grant full institutional approval and remand back to the COA to address the stipulations identified in the site visit report. Continue provisional approval status for 1 more year to address stipulations identified in the site visit report, or deny full institutional approval. As a reminder, the recommendation from the staff is to grant full approval and remand the institution back to the COA to address the stipulations. Do I have a motion from the commissioners, and which one? Commissioner De La Torre. Okay, so Commissioner De La Torre moves that we grant full institutional approval and remand back to the COA to address the stipulations identified in the site visit report. Do I have a second? Okay, Commissioner De Los.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner De Los Cardenas seconds it. Any further discussion by the commissioners? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Santa Barbara, and congratulations. And thank you, Ms. Solari Colombini. And I'm going to go ahead and just announce we'll do a 10-minute break. I see a lot of restlessness around. And so we'll just take a 10-minute break, and then we'll proceed with 2 more institutional approvals. So thank you, guys. And it's, I'm going to actually add 3 extra minutes to it. Okay, 11:10, we're going to go big here. Commissioner, is this working? Is this working? They really can't hear me. Yes, yeah, there you go. And I want the gavel when I say motion carried. I know you need one of those glasses. You go, okay. I know. Well, yeah, that's true too. We're coming up with all our strategies how to bring you guys back together. So we should have done the most. Yeah. Okay. Ms. Solari Colombini, thanks for sticking with us. We're going to go on to item 3E, which is institutional approval stage 5, consideration of full institutional approval for Fortune School. This item is being presented by Sarah Solari Colombini. This is an action item. Ms. Solari Colombini, will you please begin?
Certainly. Thank you again. So another stage 5 item. And again, we have Dr. Hawk Neto with us to answer questions, should you have any at the end of the item. This item again presents the Board of Institutional Review report from a provisional site visit and includes the COA's recommendation for an accreditation decision for Fortune School. It is staff's recommendation after reviewing the report and the Committee on Accreditation's recommendation that the Commission grant Fortune School full institutional approval. And in this case, it is really full institutional approval. There's no remanding. On page 3, you will find the comprehensive table of the initial institutional process that an institution follows when seeking to offer an educator preparation program. Fortune began this process in May of 2016 by completing Accreditation 101 and then met their eligibility requirements in June of 2017 and was granted commission approval in April of 2018. Fortune operated their programs and collected data about the implementation of their programs and leading up to the site visit, the provisional site visit that took place in November of 2021. A team of 4 trained reviewers conducted a site visit to determine alignment to the common standards and program standards for the 3 programs offered at Fortune School. This visit was held virtually and followed all of the adopted protocols. The review confirmed that the programs offered by Fortune are valued by participants and their educational partners. The team submitted a report of their findings and a recommendation to the COA, and you'll find a copy of that report in Appendix A. The Committee on Accreditation accepted the recommendation of the team and is now forwarding that recommendation on to you. It is the recommendation of staff that Fortune School be granted full approval. If you have any questions, I am here, as well as Dr. Neto from Fortune.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you that we have Fortune School here today with us. We'll now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator by submitting a request card or clicking on the raise hand icon if you're on Zoom, or *9 if you're participating by phone. Recording Secretary, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments on this item.
Okay. The public comment period for this item is now closed. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? He's just checking with Commissioner Klatt. She has been brave to lead us off every time. Yeah, do you guys want me to just move forward to action item? See, we're so blown away by the fact it's full approval, I guess. We don't have much in our questions for you. This is a very good report and appreciate the visit by the COA. All right, so I'm going to move forward, everyone. This is an action item. We have 4 options before us. Again, they're listed on page 5. The first option, grant full institutional approval to Fortune School. 2, grant full institutional approval and remand back to the COA to address the stipulations identified in the site visit report. Continue provisional approval status for 1 year to address stipulations identified in the site visit, or deny full institutional approval. As a reminder, the recommendation from staff is to grant full institutional approval to the Fortune School. So do I have a motion from a commissioner? Thank you, Commissioner Delatorre. I have a motion to grant full approval. Great. Okay, for Fortune School. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second by Commissioner Davis. Thank you so much for that. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Great, the motion carries. Thank you for joining us from Fortune School today. And thank you, Ms. Hilary Colombini, and congratulations on full institutional approval for Fortune School. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And if I may, I just want to say thank you to the
Please.
team who did the site visit for the professionalism. And also thank you to Sarah Solari for all the support and guidance she provided to us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for those final comments, and most of all for taking the time to be here today. And again, congratulations on your progress and full institutional approval. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to our one last item today, which is 3F, refinements to stage 5 of the institutional approval process. This item is being presented by Erin Sullivan. It is an action item. Ms. Sullivan, will you begin? Sorry, I should have spoke slowly.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. I was just checking to see that I had Co-Chair Frelly on the line with me.
Okay.
So, my prompt says good afternoon, but it's not afternoon. Apparently, I was being pessimistic. I apologize. So good morning, Commissioners. This final agenda item before you this morning is the result of work on the part of Commission staff who oversee the initial institutional accreditation processes and the Committee on Accreditation. I'm pleased to have with me today Dr. Bob Frelly, a co-chair of the Committee on Accreditation. Dr. Marty Martinez, the other co-chair of the COA, was unable to join us today, but he does send his respectful hello to all of you. As the IIA process is now in its 6th year, and 8 institutions have moved through all 5 stages of the process, staff have been evaluating the process to identify areas where improvements might be implemented to better serve the process, the institutions moving through the process, the Commission, the COA, and agency staff as well. As an example, staff determined that institutions could be better supported following COA approval of their proposed programs in stage 4, and have thus developed an Accreditation 201 technical assistance opportunity to touch base with those institutions before they set off to operate their programs. And we've also planned some regular touch points throughout these 2 to 3 years of approval that the Commission is granting them in order to better support programs and to ensure the greatest success for the operationalization of their programs and the candidates that are moving through those programs. As you heard, for instance, with Santa Barbara Unified School District, the institution was able to demonstrate significant progress. Oh, I jumped in my script. Yeah. Excuse me, let me move on. As the item mentions, the COA is provided for in statute and is the Commission's appointed body that implements and oversees the Commission's accreditation system and framework. And in fact, 3 of your co-commissioners could speak directly about their recent experience with the individuals who apply for positions on the COA and the level of knowledge and seriousness with which they regard their profession and their professional responsibilities. And it is with that I would just say that staff had several in-depth conversations with the COA regarding the refinements that are before you today. And they represent refinements that the COA feels would allow them to engage in the IIA process in a way that reflects more greatly their role as the Commission's accrediting body and to better support the Commission in its process. You've had some pleasant experiences this morning with the institutions that have come before you. You definitely express some pleasure in having institutions come before you without stipulations ready for full approval. For institutions that do have stipulations, I would like to, I'm going to go back now in my script here and make a note that, for instance, Santa Barbara Unified School District, between the time of their site visit and the time of their COA appearance, had taken significant steps already to address some of their stipulations And I just point that out as an example of the seriousness with which institutions take stipulations, and the ability of them sometimes to quickly address things before it appears before the COA, which is very nice, and they are to be commended for that. Currently, in the IIA process in stage 5, as you've seen now 3 times this morning, the commission may make 4 decisions when an institution comes before you. Those decisions are listed on page 2 of your item, but I will repeat them for you. They are to grant full approval to the institution as an accredited program sponsor, to grant full approval to the institution as an accredited program sponsor, and then remand the institution back to the COA to address stipulations that have been placed on it, to hold the institution in provisional status for a year while it addresses the stipulations, or to deny the institution, at which point the institution would need to develop a teach-out plan, etc. In the case of decision 2, an institution appears before the COA following its site visit along with its commission consultant. Then it comes before the commission. Then it may appear before the COA if it has stipulations 1 to 4 more times, depending on if there are quarterly reports or a 7th year report. In the case of decision 3, in which they're held in provisional approval and remanded back to the COA, they will do that process. So the COA visit, the commission visit, back to the COA, and then they would come back to the commission, of course, because they're in provisional approval and they need full approval. So the refinements that staff and the COA are recommending for your consideration are illustrated in the chart on page 4 of your item, and I will walk you through those now. Institutions that receive accreditation, so full accreditation or denial of accreditation following a provisional site visit, would be moved to the commission at the commission's next earliest meeting. Those are cut and dry. They're either full accreditation or the committee's recommending denial. Institutions that receive accreditation with stipulations following a provisional site visit would be evaluated on a case-by-case basis by the COA. The COA would determine whether to put the institution forward to the commission at that time or retain it under its own purview so that they can provide their own oversight and guidance while the institution addresses its stipulations. For example, institutions with multiple stipulations or 1 or 2 stipulations that are slightly more serious would be retained in provisional status under the purview of the COA, while ones with institutions with stipulations that could be addressed more easily would probably be put before the commission for full approval. Institutions that receive accreditation with major stipulations or probationary stipulations would automatically be retained under the purview of the COA to provide oversight and guidance while the institution addresses its stipulations. Any institution retained under the purview of the COA to address stipulations would be held for a period of not more than 1 year, possibly less if they're able to address their stipulations more quickly. And the beginning of that time point would be from the point of their appearance before the COA. After 1 year, the institution would be put before the commission, regardless of the status of its accreditation or any remaining stipulations at that time. So basically, the COA would hold the institution for a year. Staff and the COA would provide the support and guidance to help them address the stipulations as always. But at the end of that year, if there are still stipulations outstanding, we would still bring those institutions before the commission. All institutions retained under the purview of the COA to address stipulations would be required to submit progress reports to the COA, providing evidence that appropriate actions are being taken to address the stipulations in a timely manner. And this is their process, frankly, now for institutions that are in the regular 7-year cycle. These reports shall be at least quarterly, but they may be more frequent as determined by the COA. Institutions retained under the purview of the COA to address stipulations would remain in provisional status and would not be permitted to propose new programs during that time. This recommendation would be a new requirement and is based on the recommendation of staff in the COA that an institution that is newly implementing programs should continue to focus on bringing those programs into alignment with commission standards before seeking to add additional new programs. And what that kind of gets at too is when an institution comes before the commission right now and the commission implements decision number 2 in the stage 5 process, which is to grant full approval, but remand them back to the COA to address stipulations, those institutions, because they have full approval, can begin offering, they can begin proposing new programs. And so this would sort of really get to that case-by-case basis where the COA could make a decision about the level or the seriousness of the stipulations. Should we hold this institution back for a year, work with it or less, work with them to address their stipulations, during which time the institution would remain in provisional status and so wouldn't be looking to add new programs or take on new responsibilities until the COA felt that they had gotten their current programs in really good shape. As a final point, institutions. So finally, institutions that have been retained under the COA to address stipulations and that have done so to the satisfaction of the COA would then be moved to the commission at the next soonest meeting. So not more than a year, but it could be less than a year depending on the institution's ability to meet the stipulations. And at that time, then the commission would have before it still the choices to grant approval, grant provisional, hold them in provisional approval or deny as you see fit. As a final point, I would just like to mention that the COA currently and historically reviews and considers approximately 33 site visit reports each year. Those are in addition to the quarterly reports and the 7th year reports and the reports from revisits that they also review each year. And I just say that as sort of additional context for you all of what this COA is doing for you as your appointed accrediting body. I know we have some newer commissioners, and I would also just point out that the COA has historically had a commission liaison, and we haven't had one for a couple of years. Liaison Rodriguez, when she was commissioner, was liaison to the COA, and I think that staff feels like, and I think the COA would agree, it was a really nice connection to have between the commission and the COA. You had someone on your commission who was directly engaging with the COA at their meetings. So just want to point that out. So with that, I would like to pass the presentation to COA co-chair Bob Frelly to make a few remarks, and then of course we'll be open for questions.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you, commissioners. Good morning. Nice to be with you this morning. Thanks for giving us a few minutes to chat with you. Just a couple comments I'd like to offer. First is thank you for your work that you do in support of the COA consistently year after year. And I know you recently engaged in reviewing the files and documents for appointing the new COA terms. And I just want to, again, thank you so much for what you do with that. And as you go through the process, there's been a consistent effort and result from what you have done throughout that process in nominating and appointing. We have 6 reps from lower ed, K-12, 6 reps from higher ed. And they're all from a wide cross section of experience, of backgrounds, of regions. And I've been on the COA, I think, for, I don't know, 8 or more years. Erin, you could probably figure that out. I kind of joined midterm for the first year. But regardless, point being is that as I've been on the COA, I've seen year after year, as we are constantly turning over and bringing in new members to the fold, the consistency has remained, and the level of excellence of the people that you have appointed has been very, very consistent and enabled us to continue to do our work that we do. Part of the process that Erin had been mentioning is being able to try to, I guess, streamline the process and try to make it more effective for the work that we do with the COA, but also for the work that you do, so that when we have vetted it through the programs and then we send them to you for your acknowledgement and approval, we recognize that we don't want to send anything up that we feel has been properly vetted that would just end up result in undue effort and work by the commission. By the same token, we don't want to be sending something that you may feel hasn't been vetted properly. So we want to be certain that the process that we do with the COA is in depth, is insightful, and each of our members always come very well prepared. The staff does a phenomenal job, as you know, of preparing all the documents for us so that when we have our meetings, we have given a lot of forethought, and the insight that they bring to the table and discussions are really quite phenomenal if you've had a chance to watch some of them. And I find that I always emerge from them even better for it and learning something along the process. And I feel that the institutions emerge from that experience being better informed. And by us being able to review the files and be able to provide our recommendations based on the stipulations, it gives them an opportunity to do immediate work and start making that progress and refine their document before they actually comes before you. So we feel that it kind of gives us an opportunity to have them get a jump start on the process and just kind of perfecting what it is they need to do to ensure that the institutions meet the requirements for the students of our state. So having said that, Aaron, I can pass that back on to you and see if anybody has any questions. And again, thank you for the
Thank you,
opportunity.
Dr. Fraley.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So with that, commissioners, again, we'll make ourselves available to questions that you may have.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the presentation and all the materials. We'll now open for public comment. If there are members of the public that would like to give a presentation, please notify the meeting moderator for submitting a request card or clicking on the raise hand icon if you're on by Zoom, or *9 if you're on by phone. Recording secretary, are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Okay. The public comment period then is now closed for this item. Do commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? And this is an action item. Commissioner.
Good morning. A quick comment and a quick question. The quick comment is an appreciation for the, I'd say, continuous improvement work that the Committee on Accreditation and the staff here has done with this process. That's something that has impressed me about serving on the commission, is that there is a real ethic of continuous improvement. So I've seen this in across agenda items, how for something where we have a repeat process, can we make it better? So I much appreciate the thoughtfulness that's put into that. I had just one question about the difference between accreditation with stipulations and accreditation with major stipulations. I am not at all versed in the accreditation work. And so those differences are, I'm interested in what those differences are, and if maybe you could educate me a little bit about how those might look different, what the differences are. Is that categorized in some way that the institutions already know what counts as a major stipulation or what counts as a minor stipulation, or is it on a case by case, basis? And is there general agreement within the Committee on Accreditation and your discussions of what counts as major and what counts as non-major? Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a great question. Bob, did you want to jump in?
No, feel free,
I
Aaron.
didn't
I'll
mean
go ahead
to
and jump
step
in
on
as
you.
needed.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
great. So there is some guidance that's provided to the site visit teams to kind of help them in these deliberations, because it can be a little bit of a gray area for sure. I mean, these are human beings, of course, and it's a peer review process. But in general, what site visit teams do is they evaluate an institution's alignment to all of the common standards and all of the program standards for all the programs that it offers. And in evaluating the institution against those standards, the team comes to decisions of met, not met, or met with concerns for each of the standards. After they've made their standards determinations, then they kind of evaluate all of that, and they look at, okay, how many, and it's not as simple, it's not mathematical, but they look at, okay, how often are we finding met with concerns? How often are we finding not met? And at what point then that starts to influence the decision that they make about accreditation with stipulations versus accreditation with major stipulations. So that's the simplest way that I can. Do you have follow-up questions about that? It's sort of, okay. So it's influenced by an institution's alignment to common standards and program standards. Basically.
Aaron, can I jump in there?
Yeah, Commissioner Delatorre.
Yes, please,
sorry.
Bob.
Oh, please, Bob.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, just to piggyback on that, is that also many members of the COA have been part of the review team, so they've been part of the process in initially assigning the stipulations, not for these files that we see, these programs, but in the past, they've had that experience of seeing it through that lens. But it also is determined partially by what the institution, what steps they may have already been taking, or what kind of recognition that they have as far as what are the areas that they need to improve. And that also influences between stipulations and major.
It's very helpful. Thank you, Commissioner De La Torre, and then Chair Sloan.
Just a follow-up question. So does that have to do with the difference between stipulations and major stipulations? Does that have to do with the level of inconsistencies, or is it?
It's level and number, right? So if it's one met with concerns on one standard, depending on how deep that concern goes, it could be accreditation with stipulations. If we're talking about a number, a fairly large number of standards that are met with concerns, we're probably looking at accreditation with major stipulations at that point.
Sure, Sloan.
I was just going to say that I appreciate the thought that went into bringing this forward. You all have obviously experienced over time and with our accreditation system the kinds of kinks and bumps in the road, and I think this is a really good recommendation for those cases where we have institutions coming forward. When they come to us and we give them approval with major stipulations or with stipulations, it sends a message that they're approved. And then we don't have as much opportunity, I think, to both work with them, and I think there's misunderstandings on the parts of institutions as to what their approval is. So having this interim step for institutions that need additional time to get their programs to a place where we're comfortable approving that they can start their program, or more programs, continue building their programs, makes a lot of sense to me. So I appreciate this coming forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a clarifying question to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So essentially, the commission, we'd really only see the institutions that come forward for either accreditation or denial of accreditation, and we might see some that come with stipulations based on your all's recommendation. Okay, I just wanted to be clear what our recommendation was today. Questions or comments from other commissioners about the utility of this? Any challenges? Yeah, please, Commissioner Gernashar.
Ms. Sullivan, you talked about that in the past there has been a commissioner on the COA as a liaison. Can you talk a little bit about why we haven't done that and your I'm assuming your recommendation is we should.
Oh, I mean, from a staff level, of course, that's my recommendation. But we've been in COVID for a little while. And there was a time when we had some commissioners who were up for reappointment. And I know that they were some individuals that may have been considered as liaison, and we needed to see if they would still be with us. So I'm certainly hopeful that we'll be able to get back to having a commission liaison. It is an additional time commitment, of course. You all already meet 6 times a year, and then the COA has their own set of meetings. So that has to be taken into consideration as well.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that perspective around the role of the commission. Other questions or comments and action items? So we will vote on this. Yeah, Commissioner Clint.
Could you just describe a little bit again when you were talking about accreditation 201? That really piqued my interest.
Yeah, of course. So accreditation 101 is part of sort of stage 1, right? Any institution that submits to us that they are interested in becoming approved by the commission to offer preparation in California has to go through our accreditation 101. And accreditation 101, those presentations take about 2 to 3 hours. It depends on how many questions, but it orients these institutions to California if they're out of state. It orients them to the commission, who we are, what we do, what we don't do. So it's a soup to nuts. It talks to them about the process that they're about to go through, what their expectations can be about how quickly that process may or may not go. And it lets them know where the supports exist within the commission staff. So it's really a very comprehensive process. Now, between stage 1 and the approval in stage 4, sometimes there can be 2 to 3, sometimes 4 years. So what we found as we've done some of these stage 5 site visits and have had a couple of experiences where we came to the site visit and found that the institution had maybe changed a little something in their program over the course of implementation, and staff recognized that, gosh, if we had better touch points with this institution, we could have vetted this with them and perhaps kept them in alignment with the standards, which is what we would prefer to do. So the IIA staff, and I'm just shouting out to all of them because I know they're watching, they came up with this idea of we should touch in with these institutions again at stage 4, which is the COA has said to them, your programs are approved, go forth and admit and operate your programs. They now come back to us for an accreditation 201, which is a little bit shorter, but it provides a little bit of a refresher of some things that they heard in 101, and then really points them to a lot of the resources that commission staff and the commission have available. So it lets them know where they can send emails for questions that they have. It points to a lot of things on our website. So it refreshes them about who we are and how we are here to support them.
Great. Commissioner Brown?
You consider putting that in your in the 5-stage chart when you because that sounded exactly like what they need. Yeah.
Great clarifying question. Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Other questions? Comments? Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and move to. Oh, Mr. Fraley, thank you. Well, look at that virtual icon. Way to go. Way to go.
I'm learning. Hey, I'm sorry to just one brief comment. Aaron was talking about, and you have all asked great questions about how we make the determinations between stipulations and major stipulations. The staff assist and they provide us a guide. It's like a flow chart that we use at each of our meetings that help guide the process as we're looking through all the different conditions. And to help the determination. In other words, what kind of, if there are so many stipulations they have or this much concern, where within this moving guide can we make the determination that be most appropriate? So it kind of helps guides our thought and at least our discussion. It doesn't necessarily tell us what to do, but it gives us some information to discuss as we go through the process. Just want to input that.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that. Very helpful. Okay, any Zoom hands, any real hands? Thank you, Marisol, for catching that. Okay, so we're going to move to an action item. Do I have a motion that the commission adopt the refinements presented in this item to stage 5 of the initial institutional approval process? Okay, Commissioner Hartwig?
I so move.
Great, thank you. So we have a motion that we accept and adopt the refinements presented in this item to stage 5 of the initial institutional approval process. Do I have a second? Thank you. I'll go with Commissioner Gross. Thank you very much. We have a second. Does she have to say it? Yeah.
I second the motion.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Any further discussion? Questions? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Great. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Fraley. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Appreciate your all's time and your thoughtfulness in doing this.
Okay, thank you.
Very unusual for me to, yeah, thank you. Very unusual for me to say this so early in the 2 days. But having no additional items today, recess the Educator Preparation Committee until tomorrow.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioners, we will now break for lunch. It'll be a little early. We will have an entire hour. And I know this seems a little off. It should be when we're in Zoom sessions, we have an entire hour, but our meetings have just been so packed. But today you get an entire hour. Those of you who are new to meeting here in the building, please refer to the commissioners who know where the lunch places are around. We will sit tight and show you where that is. After lunch, we are going to go into closed session. So at this point, I will now recess the general session and members of the commission will go into closed session after lunch at 12:45. The general session will reconvene at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Tina, before we all disperse, there's some good news floating along the internet. We have a new Supreme Court justice.